Welcome to the Big Circle with your host.
Derrick Did
you forget your name for a second? Because my name's Ivy, your name's Derrick.
I think I just had a spit bubble. Have you ever had a spit bubble?
No, can you explain that to me?
Yes, it's like where it's pretty self-explanatory. It's where your spit bubbles.
Can you demonstrate?
No, it's an accident. It's involuntary. Can you do a voluntary spit bubble?
I have never done a voluntary.
You've never done a voluntary spit bubble?
You want to try it?
Maybe an involuntary.
Involuntary. Have you ever done an involuntary spit bubble?
I've never
Shelton's
even heard
doing
of a
the
spit
voluntary.
bubble
He's
until
doing-
just now. What is it? Bubble and foam up.
my Lord.
Anyways, welcome to the Big Circle.
Shelton is doing one for real as we speak.
I'm not doing it on camera.
Nasty. And no, we're not going to let you do it on camera. We're losing viewers right now.
Yeah, you did it right when we first started. So, I mean, that's enough for everybody. So,
Oh, man.
anyways, welcome to the Big Circle with this big rectangle. And we got a special guest today.
Yes. Mallory Nelson.
Hey.
Hey, Mallory. We're glad to have her on the podcast today. This table is going to be changing soon, I'm thinking. We've had some listeners asking me how big of a round table do we need. So I think we may be headed to a good place. So thank you for those that have texted me that, and maybe you're working on that table as we speak.
Yeah, God's going to make a miracle. We're going to have a big circle table here.
Yeah,
by
and then we'll
next
have
week.
3 mics and try to figure out how to fit it all in here.
Can't wait. I'm excited.
Okay, so Mallory is joining us for our before and after series. So we just went through that with Zach Bland. That was a great series.
Yeah,
and
phenomenal.
Man, we just want to continue that because we feel like it's a good thing. Mallory has got a heck of a story, and she's still telling it. She turned the page, and man, we're not only just in a new chapter, but we're in another chapter of the new chapter. So that's what's super cool. A lot of people can fix life for a minute. I respect the people that can sustain life
Yeah.
and become productive citizens.
Yeah, because it's really easy once you get sober and everything else just to have life fixed, but then your emotions and the real world life situations hit you, and that's when you're tested the most. Wouldn't you
Right.
agree?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about that. So, Mallory, I want you just to talk a little bit about your past, where you came from, what life looked like. We'll start there.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Jonesboro. I grew up in a broken home. Didn't go to church. I have a sister that's 8 years older than me.
So describe broken home.
Broken home.
Don't seem
I
the
don't
same
know
for
my
everybody.
father.
Okay.
Never met him. My mom, she worked at a bar, so she was always gone. So it was like I never had really a structured life at all with a family.
So you're taking care of yourself
My sister's taking care of me.
at home.
Right. So my sister got on drugs at a really early age. I want to say probably 11 or 12.
Wow.
So
And at this point, you're how old?
well, we're 8 years apart. So
Oh, wow. So you're 2 or 3 years old.
right.
Wow.
And so I was left with babysitters, things like that. So at a young age, I got sexually abused. So, and that happened for several years,
So what are you talking young age?
like from the age 2 to probably 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I mean, do you still find yourself? I mean, we're gonna ask some questions, but I mean, and you tell me if it's too much.
Oh,
but
it's okay.
Do you still find yourself at times dealing with that even now?
I've dealt with that. My major thing was having lots of resentment towards my mother.
Right.
Because I grew up using that as my ammo of like, oh, I'm going to get high. I'm doing this because I had such a crappy childhood. Nobody cared. So I used that as like the reason why I was doing the things that I did.
Right.
But as I grew up, I realized that wasn't the reason.
Right. And I think everybody in addiction at one point or another has probably had their reason why. I mean, did you have one? What was your reason?
I mean, angerness, bitterness, resentment, not being able to live up to a name I was never supposed to live up to. I had 1,000,001 reasons, and it's not ever the drugs or the alcohol. It's just the root.
Mine
Yeah.
was, I really struggled a lot with anxiety, things like that. So I would use whatever to not be anxious.
Yeah.
That was my excuse. Yours is based in trauma, so it's even harder to get out of, I could imagine. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that.
I'd say that's good, though. I never really heard you put it like that, and I'm sure you have, but, I listen 3 out of 10 times you talk, and I don't mean that bad, but sometimes it just keeps running off.
No wonder I keep having to repeat myself.
Keeps running off at the mouth.
And the truth comes out.
I'm thankful.
It sounds like it.
But it's hilarious. But, you said you came, with anxiousness. So I didn't even realize till just now that you said that. I was like, bro, I was just a nervous wreck half the time that I was before I started using. I was worried about this, and that, and I kind of started
turn the brain off,
indulging myself in everything I could, so I didn't have to feel it anymore. So, and I didn't for about 10 to 12 years. So that's a good point.
Yeah,
so,
and yours is steeped in trauma. So I mean, you got a legitimate. Hey, this really happened to me, and I'm trying to cover that up or deal with it, and that was your excuse.
I really, now that I've gotten sober and I found the Lord, I don't use that as an excuse, but I did for a long time. So with that being said, so my young adult life, like teenager growing up, I was real rebellious. I would run away. I would skip school.
How were you as a student?
Not good.
Okay.
Didn't
care?
Just didn't care. I was not interested. Like I said, my sister was so much older than me. I hung out with all the older people.
Right.
So at a young age, I was in the court systems, not being like behavioral bad, just running away, not going to school. So they were trying to take my mom to jail for that.
So you were in the court systems based off of truancy, just not being at school. Skipping school.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
and how was your mother dealing with that?
She wasn't. She didn't deal with it. Right. So, whenever I was 13 or 14, my mom sent me away to live with my aunt, which was in St. Joseph, Missouri. And my aunt at that time was on drugs really bad, on crack. So, I met a guy at school. There, I moved in with him.
How old are you now?
I'm 14.
Okay.
Moved in with his family, got pregnant. Well, when I got pregnant, my mom's like, well, you're going to come back home. You're going to have an abortion. This is what you're going to do. We can't help you with this kid. Nobody was supportive of it. So I come back. And my mom's friend.
Let me ask you this question. You're 14, you're pregnant. Did it ever even enter your mind of what could or would happen? You didn't care? You didn't think about it?
No, I didn't think about it. It was just a free-for-all, basically.
Yeah, okay.
So,
so here you are pregnant. Mom says you're coming back home.
So I come back home, and my mom had a friend that she had whenever she was working at the bars. And so this woman was in my life, and she knew some people that went to church, and these people that couldn't have kids, they were talking about, doing the artificial insemination, and it didn't work. And I was really young. I really didn't know what they were talking about then. Now that I'm older, I realize now. Right. But I just knew I was really scared of the abortion thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to give my baby to these people that can't have kids. That's the only thing in my mind. I was thinking, these people can't have kids, I'm going to give it to them.
Right. So even at a young age, you're trying to, something has come through your brain of, I want to do the right thing. Even though I've done the wrong thing, I want to do the right thing now.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
So
it's funny how it's all implanted there, even when you're going through something, the right thing's always implanted there. Yeah. Just making the decision to actually.
I think there's so many voices now that just drowned out any choices.
Yeah, it's called social media.
Yeah.
Right.
Truth. It drowns out so many, just making a choice almost that's opposite of someone else.
Yeah.
You're automatically the villain. Yeah. And just in her nature, she said, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this.
And now
Kudos
that
to you for that. So you have the baby.
So I have the baby, and I want to say, when you have a calling on your life, it doesn't matter what you did whenever you were going through all that, because you're going to come out of that and you're going to step into your calling, which that's what I'm doing now. So I'm very
break down for the listeners that are hearing this what a lot of people, some people that are listening to us, we got a lot of people that are in church that also have different ways of walks of life. But break down what a calling on your life means to you.
It means helping people, spreading the message about what I've been through, and not being ashamed of it.
Yep.
Stepping into your calling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. Because people want to shy away from everything that they've been through. And what they don't realize is it's empowering for people, because no matter how quiet one person is that looks like they got it all figured out, they're going through something at that very moment that they don't want to express because pride gets in the way. There's actually a lot more power in being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And being
absolutely.
able to express that. So,
Absolutely. And for our listeners today that may hear the word calling and say, calling sounds churchy.
Yeah.
Let's use another word too, purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, we all have a purpose. And if you go back and look at everything that happened in American history and modern history in the modern world that mattered was when a group of people got together and accomplished something. So
Yep.
if you hear calling and it's purpose, man, we all got to have something. I think we're better because of it all. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Pick up our before and after story with Mallory. We're so glad she's here with us.
Thank
We'll
you,
see you in a
guys.
second.
Quality Voices, hiring now for daytime and nighttime shift. They are a faith-based company that works on behalf of political endeavors and nonprofit organizations. You can fill out an application at 5510 Southwest Drive, Suite 4. They have great management, great family atmosphere, and a great environment. Quality Voices, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Leisure Comfort. At Leisure Comfort Heat and Air, we provide friendly heating and air conditioning repairs done right. We repair all major brands and give reliable options to get your system working properly. In the unfortunate event that a new equipment is necessary, we can make the installation seamless and easy. We install all major brands with free estimates and flexible financing options. Upgrading your HVAC system has never been easier. Whether you're looking for HVAC system, repairs, seasonal maintenance, new equipment, or general construction needs, our trained technicians will get you on the best path to enjoying a comfortable home environment. Welcome back to the Big Circle. We're excited to be back with our special guest, Miss Mallory. We're excited to hear the rest of this story, the before, the after, and all in the in-between, because you see so many. You can kind of relate, maybe not necessarily to just her story, but you can get bits and pieces out of it and realize that some of the trauma that's come from your life can be what's holding you back to a better life now.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to hear
Absolutely. So you have the baby, you give it to these people that couldn't have a baby, and what's happening in Mallory's world now? Is there any, hey, the baby's gone, there any thought of that? I mean, are you too young to even process that?
Well, I processed it, but not in the correct way. I turned to drugs. I started using meth. Just real crazy, long road of meth. So basically from the age 15 till I was 34 or 5.
Now, was that so that's about 20 years gap in that of meth. So was there ever a time that you got sober for a couple years?
There was a period of time that I stayed clean off of meth for 7 years, but I used hydrocodones and I drank alcohol.
That sounds just like me.
So it was never. I never had a period of time where I was ever.
You could say you were sober.
Yeah.
Right.
We
where
were
my
clean,
mind-
but we weren't clean.
Right.
Yeah,
I
our
was,
mind said that.
In my mind, I was off meth, so I was clean.
Yeah.
You were legal.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Mine
lot
was
of-
kind of legal. I mean, I still, if I ran it, whatever, I'm statute of limitations. We're gonna hang it here.
So anyway, part of this use, so you have the you were taken advantage of young, you then have a baby. The being taken advantage of was your loaded gun to use.
Right.
Now you've gave a baby away. Now you got a double barrel, I guess.
Yes.
So you're trying to drown out years of trauma.
Right.
Okay. So
Well-
now you're not, for 20 years you're not clean.
Right.
In a daze.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a daze.
Completely.
What's happening in that days?
Well, lots of arrests. lots of attempts to get sober.
What were your attempts? What did you
Like
do?
I went to the coffee house,
Right.
Prison.
Yep.
How long were you in prison?
Altogether, I did like 11 months
Oh,
with
nice.
jail time, waiting to go, and then getting
Yep.
there.
Right.
So,
Were you the type of person that got in there and said, "I don't belong here. I'm getting out"? Or did you just deal with it?
I adjusted to it. Like that's one of I think my downfalls is because I can adjust to any kind of situation I'm in. In the addiction life, I can adjust to that scenery. I can adjust to anything, and that was one of my downfalls. And I really didn't realize I had that type of personality to Jamie at the Way. You know, she told me, she said, you know, you adjust so well to whatever environment you're in. You don't care. You're institutionalized on things. And I'm like,
Kind of like a chameleon, like whatever environment you're kind of match that. And I know that same feeling too, because I remember when I ended up in county jail, I don't know how many times, but I was like, I almost felt like it was home in a way.
Yeah.
Like, just because, and that's a sad
It's
sad
sick.
feeling once you look back after getting out of your mess, to feel like that was home and that was where you were supposed to
Right.
be. You look back and you're like, man, I never meant to take it that far. But that's the things that we talk through now and we get through. So
It's so weird to me too, because on this side of the table, I've never been behind bars a day in my life. So just saying that stuff just sounds so bizarre to me. But there's also other things in my life that I say, and I see people look at me like that's so bizarre. But you just get used to what you get used to.
Yeah.
You know. And so you're so easily adapting to your situation. So that's actually a positive in some ways. And, you know, it goes back to what the enemy meant for evil. You know, the Lord can turn to good.
Right.
So it's great to be in a culture that you need to be in, filled with purpose, and be able to adapt within that culture to some extent. So, I mean, that can always be a good thing as well.
let me ask this too. Were you, because this is one of my biggest downfalls, and I didn't realize it till 3.5 years ago, was people pleasing a big thing for you? I know you necessarily, me, I acted like I didn't care, but really I cared about what everybody thought. Even my addiction, I continued to use, and I was like, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks, but really our hearts are the biggest. Anybody that's been through addiction, we realize that whatever we do it to the fullest of effect. Don't matter if we're doing good, doing it bad, whatever. But I think people pleasing was my number one downfall.
Absolutely. I can definitely say that for myself as well. I had lots of friends, or so-called friends.
Right.
I was always accepted anywhere, except at the very end. The very end was real.
And I want to get into that for
Yeah.
sure. The very end,
It's
but-
just kind of funny that you say that too, because I remember my rock bottom too. Calling my mom at 4:00 in the morning, 4:15 to be exact, and I realized I was in a pit that I just really couldn't get out of by myself at that time. I had nobody, no friends, no family that wanted anything to do with me.
Absolutely.
And I remember that feeling.
Your mom answered?
My mom answered at 4:15 in the morning. I said, I need help. And that was like the best day. You could go back to it. All the stuff that's happening now is great, but she'll say that is the best day
Absolutely.
ever happened.
Because you submitted, tapped out.
She came and picked me up, and we were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you 20 years of drug addiction. You had your challenges or issues. So let me ask, during this process, how much time are you reflecting on the son or the daughter that you gave away?
The son. None.
Okay. Because I can just block it out.
And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah. So you just turned it off.
Yes.
Do feelings like that ever still come back now? Because I know it does for me, looking back at my past, now that I'm not just completely sober, but I'm living a life that's worth living. Those regrets kind of sneak in, but they lie to you too.
Yeah.
And you know, the good thing, the funny thing is about the devil, all he does is bark, and he barks with the same old tricks.
Absolutely.
So how
So
do you
do
deal
you
with
deal
that
with
now?
that?
Yes.
You do?
Well, since I got sober, so my friend Chas, she looked up my son on Facebook because I don't have social media, and she found pictures, and so like
Why do you not have social media? Let me ask that.
because I had so much drama and unnecessary stuff in the past that I decided whenever I got sober that I didn't need it, and I was gonna try to do it for a year. And so now I've been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Right. Do you ever think, man, I wished I had it?
No.
Don't blame me a bit.
Not
wish
at all.
I didn't have it.
I don't ever think that
I wish I
either.
didn't have
No.
it.
Okay, so I just wanted to know your motive behind that, and for our listeners today, if you've got social media, we're not saying, oh, yeah,
No, that
you're the
was
worst
just,
person ever.
that's just what I had
that's
to
one
do
of
for
those
myself.
personal things that
Yeah.
you got to do. So
Yeah.
So anyway, so Chaz,
She found pictures of my son, and so I just started praying about it, and I'm gonna leave the timing up to God whenever that time comes, and I'm good with it.
so what
You're at peace.
I'm at peace with it.
what does that future look like? Or you don't even have a canvas? It's just I'll just let what happens.
I do, like in my mind, I picture a happy reunion, but I just want to be able to be the person that he needs me to be. And so that's what every day, whenever I'm putting my shoes on to go to work and I'm living for the Lord, doing the right thing, I think about him. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm going to make him be proud.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
So many people get in their mind like, I'm going to show up and be a mom. You're just saying, hey, I'm going to be here when it happens.
I'm going to be who I am, and in the meantime,
Yeah.
we'll see what works.
And I'm not getting twisted about what the picture looks like. I just want to be available.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's a fantastic attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through all this 20 years of addiction, you get to a point where how many times have you pondered, man, I got to get out of this life?
Oh, several times, especially every time I got arrested.
Jailhouse.
Yeah, when I get there, I'm like, I'm really going to change this time.
Shall call.
Yeah.
Shall call.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So you get arrested, you go to jail. Hey, I'm going to change this time. What happened while you were in jail that put yourself into that place where, what did you do to say I'm going to change, or was it just words?
words.
Well, that's a good point, but and especially too, once you got out of jail, so it was just words. So as soon as you got out of jail, what was the process like after that? Not saying you were court ordered to rehab, you just bonded out, you just got out. Would you immediately go right back to
Absolutely.
it? Or would you, okay.
So
Sounds
you went
just
right
like
back to the same environment, the same
Yes.
people, and
Did you almost feel like they were the only ones that could accept you at the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Nobody.
that's
I literally, even whenever I got sober, I thought to myself when I started going to church, I'm like, none of these people are ever going to get me. Like, I've just had too much stuff go on for
Wow.
anybody to care.
wow.
Yeah.
You don't never know what's going through people's minds. I said this to somebody today. Whenever I started,
Was it me?
whenever I started trying to live a life of purpose, I remember thinking back, and I remember them talking about peace that passes understanding, and I thought, I'm just being honest. I thought, what a load of crap,
Yeah.
And then after forgetting that and just, hey, forget whether these people can accept me. I want to do better. So I start trying to do better, and one day I wake up and I'm like, I'm in a peace that passes understanding. I'm like, I get it now. And, I get it now.
Well, let's bring that back to the audience's viewpoint. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, man, that is a load of crap, hey, we don't blame you a bit for thinking that way. Because also keep in mind that took, 10 years for you to actually cultivate that in your mind?
to really get that thought process.
Yeah, because it's tough. 3.5 years in, I wish I could say that I had peace beyond all understanding
same here.
on some days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I notice that I struggle on days.
Yeah, it takes
And
time, discipline, effort, all of those things.
transparent. And so.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick commercial. We'll be right back. Thanks to our sponsors.
J&M Trailer Sales and Service. J&M Trailer Sales and Service. Huge selection of trailers, trailer repair, and prices so low, it's stupid. Also, if you don't want to commit to buying a trailer or a piece of equipment, they rent it out as well. Trailers, car haulers, skid steer, excavators. J&M Trailer Sales, located at 2510 South 2nd Avenue, Paragould, Arkansas. Introducing the Sunroom. The house can get crowded, and if you need somewhere for family or friends to stay during the holidays, the Sunroom is a pet-friendly rental in Paragould, Arkansas, with a top-rated Airbnb Superhost rating. Beautiful scenery overlooking a nice pond, peaceful, relaxing, and much better than a hotel. Heron Tire, best from the east to the west, serving Paragould and all of northeast Arkansas for over 56 years. Tire shops have come and gone. Heron Tire has remained. We keep getting bigger and better. Got a flat? You don't have time for that. We'll get it patched up and put you back on the road. Stuck on the farm? No time to play? Call us. We're on the way. If you need to get the crops planted and you're feeling stressed, call Heron Tire. We're simply the best. New tires? We got you. Used tires? We got you. Rims, lift kits, oil change? You guessed it. We got it. So come see us at either of our Paragould locations at 700 East Kings Highway or 300 Airport Road. Heron Tire Service, 870-239-8466 or 870-240-0090. Yes, best from the east to the west. Welcome back to the Big Rectangle Circle. We're here.
All right.
Glad to be back.
So picking up where we left off, so y'all were talking about, every time you get to the jailhouse, hey, I'm going to straighten up. That happened
So many times. One time I got arrested 6 times in the same month.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you get out 6 times in the same month?
A bond out.
How do you have the money to do that?
Well, some of it was misdemeanor stuff, so it was like
Wow.
I did like a little 7-day stint or 2 days and
Sanctions and stuff like that, yeah.
So let me ask another question, and it may be too much, but because I never was a drug guy. So I was an alcoholic. I was a pothead. I never was into the drug chasing, the pills, all that was just nothing. Nothing ever appealed to me in that life. As honest as I can be, I always looked at those. Those were the criminals. I was the good guy.
Right.
That's the way I painted
With
that.
the brewski in your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the way I painted the picture,
Same thing.
Yeah, it's just a different mousetrap, but it is what it is, and I'm just being candid about how I thought.
Yeah.
So during all this, how do you even have the money to keep the drug habit going?
Because I sold the drugs to do the drugs.
Yeah.
So it's a
And
constant.
then also,
There was no profit and loss in this. It was just
right, it was just, and
to
then
feed the
also
addiction.
there was, people that I guess I thought cared about me. They would bond me out of jail. And
supply you back with the drugs.
Yep.
Get started again.
So they just put you back in the circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild.
Those were our friends.
Yeah.
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 But
Man,
also
it's
at
just-
the same time, we also felt like those were the only people that accepted us.
Yeah.
So
Right. There was no other culture in which you could be accepted.
Right.
Okay. So you go in and out of jail multiple times, and you try one rehab. At what time did that happen in your jail stints, and how come it didn't work?
Well, okay, so that was my first little time trying to go to the coffee house was in 2018, and I stayed there.
And I want to add something before we go any further to anybody that's listening. We may talk about rehabs that people went to that didn't work. That doesn't mean the rehab doesn't work.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
I was going to say the seed was planted there
Yeah.
for me.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure I cleared that up for our listeners.
Absolutely,
Because
I'm
sometimes
grateful
people get
for
the
that
wrong
place.
idea.
I'm very grateful for that place because that's where I found the Lord. I mean, my heart was touched there, but it just wasn't enough.
Okay. So in 18, you stay there the whole time?
No, I stayed there 4 months.
Okay. And you leave?
I left,
Okay.
and then immediately got high again. So,
Yeah.
and then I did that.
Like when you say immediately.
Like, I left and got high.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You left to go get high?
Yes.
Okay.
Just try to beat the court system, kind of. Was you court ordered at the time, or?
Well, at the time, I was. My timeline is so messed up. So, okay, I was trying to get out of charges from going to prison then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'll go to rehab. Don't have to go to prison.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then I messed that all up by leaving.
Right.
So, end up going to prison anyways. And then
And you get sentenced to?
30 months of RPF.
Okay. What's RPF?
RPF is it's basically a prison, but it's it's like a communal living, like the inmates run it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
it's definitely a dandy.
It's
Yeah.
something else, huh?
Yeah,
Okay, so you get out of there.
I get out of there,
when?
and of 2021, I believe.
Really?
Or 2020 or 2021. I can't believe around that
So
time.
you're there during COVID and all of that?
COVID had just hit.
Oh, okay, wow.
So,
You know what's so funny to me, to our listeners, what's so funny to me is we've never had this. Like, I didn't know when you got out of prison. Yeah. If you'd asked me when you went to prison, I mean, I'd been like 15 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I don't see that person. And it goes back to that old thing of we thought this is the only people that would accept us.
Yeah.
The truth is that's the only people you were around.
right.
Because I've never not accepted you based off of when you got out of prison. Lord, I just found out with all the listeners when you got out.
Right.
Right? So you get out, and what happens now?
So my mom and my sister at that time had decided that, that they were going to change their lives around and do the right thing. And so they were actually both In His Wings ministry.
That's cool.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
And so we know Jennifer very well. And she actually came and picked me up from the prison.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
So I went there, and I did that for probably 28 days.
Was that the reentry program that they have? Is that
This
what
is
they-
right before
Right before? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
28 days in, you're like, deuces.
I'm like, I've done all this prison time. Like, I shouldn't be getting punished like this. I don't need to be in here. That's
Yeah.
what my mentality was.
And you're out.
And I'm out.
Okay.
How long after that was the back at it?
Well, so in 2021, I'm like trying to get off pro. Like, I have I'm like skating it like 2 months. And so my husband now, me and him, we're just absolutely ridiculous.
So you knew Rick before all this? I did not
Yes,
know that.
I've
Oh
known
man,
Rick.
that'd have been a wild couple right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
We'll say, we won't even, Rick told me a couple of those stories. I don't know that we can even tell on the
Oh, it'd be great.
So during this time, like Rick and I both are just high as a kite,
Right.
running amok everywhere we went. People hate to see us coming. They didn't know if we were making out or fighting, So it was just like a toss up for us. So
That's gotta be terrible.
it was.
I mean, do you even realize it's terrible?
At the time, you don't.
Oh
you?
yeah.
Do you not realize it, or do you
I mean, I
realize it?
knew I was insane. Like I was.
So there's moments of clarity, and then I don't care.
It
I'm
didn't
right
even.
back to
The clarity didn't even matter to me. I was
Yeah.
just like,
wheels off the bus.
yeah, we're both dying today, Rick.
Yeah.
Is what I would tell him.
Today's the day.
I'm like, call your dad right now and tell him goodbye, Rick, because we're both gonna die today.
How wow. So we get to the story, and we're getting close to, hey, I gotta wake up.
Yeah.
And when did that happen?
Okay, so I'm like about to get off pro, and Rick and I were in this fight, and I was like fixing to run over him with my car.
Wow.
Like I had been drinking whiskey since like 6 a.m. and
You're gonna hit him with a car.
oh yeah, because he wouldn't he wouldn't listen to me, and I knew he
had
could
enough
whoop
of
me.
this.
So I'm like, if you don't stop talking crap to me, I'm fixing to run over you. And he just kept on doing it. So
You ran over him?
I tried. He ran fast.
All right, we're gonna leave it there at aggravated assault with a car.
I got arrested for it already.
Oh wow, we're laughing, but man, this could have been
That
a different
is-
story. I'm just thankful that you're here today.
and that you're happily married to Rick now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
that
awesome,
cool?
ain't it? So I hope you've enjoyed episode 1 with Mallory. Her before story. It's been crazy. I've learned a lot today.
Aggravated assault part 2 coming up. I'm
Yeah,
just
coming
kidding.
up.
The after is
Close
coming.
us out. Tell them all the stuff they need to know.
Yeah, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Big Circle. We're hosted on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, a share if you got something good out of it. Give us a 5-star review. Listen, throw those 4 stars in the garbage. We don't care.
Yes.
I'll have them removed either way. If you give us a 4-star review, it don't matter.
He doesn't mean that.
But well, let's be honest. But give us a thumbs up, share it. We're thankful for all of our sponsors and everybody that tunes in to listen to before and after series and everything that y'all do for us here. So
I'm Derrick Followell.
I'm Ivy Heron Jr.
Mallory Nelson.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.